Good evening. My name is Greg Brown. I'm with Team F, and tonight we're going to do a presentation for you. My partners are Carmen Carver, Doug Anderson, and Jared Silva. Tonight we're going to take you someplace that you probably haven't ever been before. It's a place where cheap labor is used to create incredible amounts of quality. Tonight we're going to take you inside Oregon's maximum security prison. We're going to take you behind the wall. Oregon Correctional Enterprise is Oregon's work inmate program run by the Oregon Department of Corrections. The mission of OCE is to promote public safety by providing inmates with meaningful work experience in a self-sustaining organization. Some interesting facts about OCE. They have approximately 1,100 inmates that participate in the program statewide. OCE has 8 program locations spread out throughout the state where they run their programs. OCE is structured after Measure 17, which was a ballot measure that passed in 2004. The basis for Measure 17 is that it requires all inmates incarcerated to be involved in full-time work or be involved with a on-the-job training program. I'd like to start out by talking about the strengths of OCE. Their largest strength is their labor. OCE inmates earn between $100 and $180 per month. Okay, that's cheap by third world standards. One of the reasons they're able to put together such a unique workforce is they're able to draw from all the inmates statewide. There are over 13,500 inmates that are currently incarcerated in Oregon. With so many people in the penal system, they're able to select from a group of people and build a diversified workforce. These people would include welders, plumbers, carpenters, engineers, draftsmen. So those people putting their skills and efforts together can produce incredible quality. Now I'm going to ask you a question that you hear a lot. The question is, if you had $1 million, what would you do? Well, the answer is you'd do something that you really enjoy doing. So I'm going to kind of turn that question around a little bit, and I'm going to present it through the eyes of an inmate. If you had a lot of time on your hands and somebody gave you materials and tools to do something creative, to do something productive, what would you do? Well, the answer is you'd look at your time and you'd see how much time you have available to do the work. And for somebody who's doing 20 years to life, that's a lot of time for them to invest. When OCE starts a project, they spend a lot of time up front with their clients, evaluating what their clients' needs are to make sure that the job gets done correctly. They spend a lot of time on the project to make sure it's done right. And at the very end of the very end of the project, whether it's services or whether it's an end product deliverable to a customer, make sure that an inspection is done before it ships out. Delivery. OCE is very flexible as far as their delivery goes. A couple of things that they can do to meet their customers' needs. Number one, if you have an unusually large order, they can put the prisoners to work in double shifts. And they did that recently for a project they did for the state capitol restoration. They had 2 shifts of inmates putting furniture together in their furniture factory. They can also do seasonal work. So if you are a company that has work that occurs 1 month out of the year and you don't want to maintain resources to cover that, take the work inside the prison. Let the prisoners help you out with that. The other thing that they can do is they can do drop-in work. You get to a point, you're working with a client and the workload is too great. You can unload some of that workload into the prison and let the inmates do the work for you. Another thing about OCE that's a strength is that they're self-sufficient. They don't draw any money from the general fund. What does that mean? It means that when they're producing products for customers, they're making a profit on it. How do they use the profit? They're using the profit in 2 ways. Number one, some of their business ventures don't always earn a profit, so they can use that profit to shore up those businesses and keep the inmates working in those. The other way they use profit is they're able to purchase capital equipment. The capital equipment can be purchased to support an ongoing business that's already in the program, or they can use the capital equipment to start a new business venture. Another strength of OCE, and not a lot of clients may or may not be able to take advantage of it, is the security factor. How many facilities do you know that do production inside a maximum security prison? That could be an important factor if you've got producible and you're concerned about employee theft. I mean, the employee theft in the inmate system is 0%. Nothing comes into the facility, nothing leaves the facility without somebody knowing about it. All the inmates, as they enter into the facility or the area designated for OCE, there's a very scrutiny, there's a lot of security measures. All prisoners go through a metal detector into the facility. They all go through a metal detector out. So there's no product leaving, there's no tools leaving, there's no scrap material leaving. It's all contained in there. Another aspect of the security is the confidentiality. If you have concerns about is your product, are there blueprints, are there design specifications, are there prototypes that you're concerned about falling into the hands of your competitors? Very tight at the prison. They maintain the prisoners are kept in such a way that there's not a lot of correspondence between the inmates and the outside world. So those type of issues might be applicable in your situation. Security, there's also a downside to security. It can create problems for the overall operation of the system, and I'm going to let Carmen talk about that next.
Thank you, Greg. As Greg mentioned, as with any organization, we all see the weaknesses or areas of improvement for companies.
In 1868, the 14th Amendment repealed the Dred Scott case and allowed African Americans living in this country to become U.S. citizens. At the time, a lot of leaders didn't support the 14th Amendment. They thought if blacks are allowed to have constitutional rights the same as whites, it'll ruin this country. Doesn't history judge the ignorant harshly? In 1920, Congress allowed women the right to vote and hold public office. People said it would ruin the foundation of the American political system. Were they right? Half the people in this room are descendants from immigrants that came into this country through Ellis Island between 1890 and 1924. It's a good thing the U.S. government passed the Immigration Act of 1924 because they had people coming here that didn't speak our English language and crowded our American school system and were taking away our American jobs. Sound familiar? It's easy to look back and say, how could our leaders think like that? But how do we as a society think about immigration today? Some of the media I've seen generates fear, loathing, and hate against immigrants. 20 million Mexican aliens are receiving welfare. I find that hard to believe when I look through this near 20-page application for welfare that basically says you have to show proof of U.S. citizenship to get benefits. Record unemployment, no jobs for illegal aliens. Most Mexican immigrants come to this country to work in the agricultural field, which is suffering right now because they can't maintain a stable workforce, even in today's rough economic climate. Kids from illegal immigrants grow up qualified to steal away professional level jobs. I hope so. The economy is struggling now, but when it picks up, it will need people to fuel growth. With 76 million baby boomers set to retire in the next 20 years, who will fill those jobs? We don't have enough people to get it done. The Bureau of Labor and Statistics estimates the fields worst hit will be engineering, education, healthcare, law enforcement, and judicial. We can't outsource those jobs overseas. Where's the labor going to come from? Another hot topic right now, how is Social Security going to continue to cover people's retirements? Every job that's unfilled is less money going into that system. Any system that has more payouts than revenue coming in is unsustainable. Can the children of today's immigrants cover the spread and keep our economy strong? If our leaders can commit to a fair immigration policy that provides education and opportunity for all future workers, then yes, I believe so. The decisions we as leaders make today will carry great consequences on where we end up 20 years from now. Leaders need to remember the lessons from the past, that history judges the ignorant harshly.